welcome to Monday Morning Detective, the podcast. I'm your host, Gino Scala. This is episode number 40. Now, what I tend to do every time there's a new popular in the mainstream media anyway, homicide or murderer or something that really grabs the headlines, I have a tendency in my mind to, kind of list it as far as where it may be on the heinous meter. Everybody has a serial killer or an event that in their eyes was the worst in history or the worst since they've been alive or anything of that nature. So I do the same thing. And since I read about all of these events across the country, whether they make it in the national news or not, I tend to seek out these stories. I find ones that are incredible and awful, and they don't always make the news. However, I was on a big kick of the Idaho student killings mostly because of the victims involved. It wasn't particularly heinous, it was pretty bloody. So I shouldn't say it wasn't particularly heinous, but I think the beautiful people that were victimized, three beautiful girls, and a good-looking athletic guy, made it all the more sad. And the mysteriousness of the event. Prior to that was Chris Watts, who destroyed his beautiful family, wife and two baby girls, and he was a very good-looking guy, out of wanting to be single, wanting a new girlfriend, which he had on the side. His wife was perfectly beautiful, and it's in the way he dispatched his family. As we later learned the results and where he buried them and placed them in the oil well, and exactly what the oil does to a body after being submerged for a while, which in this case was at least a couple of days, is horrible, just disgusting. But I think the one that really has me by the short hairs is the Lori Vallow, they call her the Doomsday Mom, murders. Lori Vallow fell for some snake oil con man, religious nut, which I think is a complete con. I don't think either party believes what they espouse, as far as also end of days, Satan being possessed, and all that crap. I think this was just an individual, Lori, who fell for the charm and potential riches of this Daybell guy. I think it was Carl Daybell. I forget his first name. And then since she wanted to be with him, it's kind of the same thing as Chris Watts, was that she was willing, with the help of her brother, to kill her children. And in order to do that, she first had to kill the father of the children because he had some some visitations and stuff. So the the brother, her brother, Alex, shot and killed the husband, and then or the ex-husband. Then they create this scenario where he was attacking him with a bat and it was self-defense. All bullshit. All made up. You go back further, and she had a previous husband who died. Then on the other side, the Daybell character, he had a wife that he was married to while he was seeing Lori Vallow, and she died under mysterious circumstances. So they have exhumed her body and have determined that she was suffocated. So, but what grabbed the headlines was that these kids, TJ was the boy, I believe, and I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the girl's name, but she was older. She was about 13. He was 7 or 8 and autistic to boot. But lovely children. Everyone loved them, and they loved each other. In fact, I think the boy was adopted, if I'm not mistaken. And, well, the kids come up missing. And while they were investigating the missing children case, the missing children's case, Lori was, the mother was telling the police that they were safe. They were at a friend's house in another state, which turned out not to be true. She was found to be putting all the kids' possessions and clothing in storage and then moving it out of storage weeks later, presumably to get rid of. And meanwhile, she's flying to Hawaii with the boyfriend and so forth. I mean, I think we all know pretty much the story, and we certainly know how it ended up. Suddenly, her brother, Alex, died suddenly in good health. I believe they said it was natural. I don't know if they're exhuming his body. I believe he was poisoned himself. That's my personal belief. I don't think it's I don't believe in coincidences. So it would be highly coincidental for him to die of natural causes at the age of 51 of a heart attack when he's in the middle of killing all these people for his sister. So turns out that he had taken the children, bound them in duct tape, and buried them on Daybell, the boyfriend's property, which was a big ranch. The girl, when she was found, she had been dismembered, chopped up in pieces, and they attempted to burn her body. Meanwhile, the boy was duct taped from head to toe and was buried alive. He died from suffocation. Whether or not it was from the taping, the duct tape, which covered his nose and mouth, or the dirt, probably the combination of the two. I mean, you couldn't do that to an animal, a cat, or any kind of animal that you fear or that you hate. You couldn't, most people could not do that. And yet these animals did it to children, their own flesh and blood. So hats off to the Idaho police involved in this investigation and why these two were allowed to run around Hawaii for weeks, months after these kids were missing. I know that, the story is, they didn't have any charges or we didn't want to blow it in the long run. There are enough charges that you can have on them to keep them in jail with no bond if you, work on the judge. I hate it that they were able to run around, do interviews, even in passing. They were doing interviews, doing press, and having a great time, having sex, having drinks, going to Hawaii and living it up there. That disgusts me. So I think this trial is going to be quick and easy. I don't think it's going to drag out like the Murdoch trial. But they're going back to several cases that weren't initially declared homicides. So they may be trials down the road, but I think with this one, they're done. And I would love to see her get both of them, but more her than he. I would love to see her get the death penalty. I really would. I don't know if if she's eligible for it in that state or what, but that woman needs to be put down. So those are my thoughts. If you have anything you'd like to add, please feel free to comment in the post, in a post, and we can discuss this one. I'm very attached to this case as well, and I'll be following it quite regularly. So that'll be it for episode 40 of Monday Morning Detective, and we'll talk to you very soon. Thank you. Have a great day.